Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell when the ride ends.
A Guide for Western Romeos by Bill Page. Many aging Western Romeos come to Thailand looking for a youthful, submissive Asian Juliet to bring joy to their twilight years. These gormless old coots are laboring under a multitude of delusions, which this chapter proposes to address. Lesson 1 examines the key phrase, submissive Asian Juliet. Take a look at any Thai soap opera. Watch as the minor wife and the major wife shriek obscenities at each other and tear each other to pieces, biting and clawing like alley cats. Then watch as the husband, the object of their affections, stands there transfixed in helpless terror, looking like a constipated eunuch. This will give you an idea of how submissive Asian women can be. Bear in mind also the wise words of the Roman poet Publius Vergilius Maro. Femina mutabile est. Woman is changeable, especially when she appears to be submissive. Most Western men who come to Thailand in search of true love begin their quest in the bars. This is because bar girls are easily accessible. No prolonged and expensive courtship is necessary. Just the magic words, "Cola for you," and "You go with me," and presto, you're off and running in the fast lane. This isn't bad if you're looking for a one-night stand, but if it's true love you're after, you've made a big mistake. Bars, in case you haven't noticed, are not ordinarily the venue of choice for true love. If your relationship proceeds beyond a one-night stand, you will soon discover a terrible truth. Most bar girls are ex-farm girls from Thailand's impoverished northeast. Since they come from poor families who expect them to send money back home regularly, they are almost exclusively interested in money. So lesson 2 is the famous adage, no money, no honey. If you should be foolish enough to marry a bar girl, you will discover an even more terrible truth, the staggering scope of the obligations you have unwittingly assumed. In Thailand, you don't just marry a girl, you marry her whole family. You'll never be number 1 in her affections. Mama and Papa are numbers 1 and 2. Brothers and sisters are numbers 3 through whatever. A vast extended family of grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and in-laws come next, followed by assorted friends, acquaintances, and hangers-on, up to and including the whole village, and possibly the entire province. In the hierarchy of your wife's affections, you can expect, at best, to rank around number 309, well behind the family water buffalo. There is an upside to this picture. If you and your spouse should have a child, the child will automatically become number 1 in her affections, with the rest of the hierarchy following in sequence. The downside is that you will then be number 310. None of this is a problem if you possess an iron ego and inexhaustible wealth along the lines of Bill Gates. Anything less than that, and you will find your resources rapidly depleting. As a rich foreigner, you will be expected to provide for the needs and comforts of the hordes who precede you in the hierarchy. So long as you have money, Your beneficiaries will regard you with all the fawning respect they would accord a feudal lord. But if the money ever runs out, your status will plunge to the approximate level of dog poo. All of this constitutes lesson 3. It smashes to powder the pleasant delusion that your submissive Asian Juliet will bring joy to your twilight years. Headaches, yes, but joy? Forget about it. Lesson 3 also leads to a conclusion known as Leary's Law, which has been immortalized along with much other valuable wisdom in Colin Pipperell's comic masterpiece, Bangkok Nights. If you must marry, marry an orphan. Most Western men who come to Thailand looking for love are in their 40s or over, sometimes way over. Some are ancient wrecks who can barely hobble from one bar to the next, but occasionally one will show up who is young and handsome. Do not envy this luckless soul. He is doomed. Thai bar girls love handsome young men, and they'll be after him like a pride of lionesses chasing a startled gazelle. From the moment he arrives in the land of smiles, he has an average life expectancy of 5 years. He will die drained, spent, exhausted, but happy. Some Western men tire of the bar scene and want to meet a respectable Thai woman. They imagine that there are hundreds of high-class, well-educated Thai women who are just dying to meet foreigners. Such men are deluded. Why should any respectable Thai woman want to meet foreigners? Is it because, in the picturesque words of the late Mao Zedong, foreigners' farts smell better? Despite the fragrance of your farts, any woman with half a brain will be asking herself, why can't this guy find a soulmate from his own culture? So, Western men in Thailand should heed the wise advice of Muhammad Ali to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, and the even wiser advice of George Washington to avoid entangling alliances. Those who want to be Romeos should remember how Romeo ended up. So you buy 3 of these and 3 of these, and you have everything you need to make an Isan house in 1/10 scale. Ready, go? And you make your walls, obviously, out of this stuff. These stores are absolutely wonderful. So I'd like to introduce you to some of the materials that are going into the traditional Isan house where this young lady lives. And most of the preparation for these videos is in shopping and seeking things out. So I just want to give you an idea of what I start with. I built the house, it's all out of hot glue because I didn't have time to wait for latex glue to dry. I think it's obvious that I've built this part too long. The only angle to shoot the house from right now is down here, and I don't like that angle. I want to be up here. So I'm gonna trim this back, which unfortunately will lose this lovely, irregular, natural, organic edge and become something more like this. But it's necessary. I cannot shoot this just from down here. So the structure of the house comes from these brooms. Forgive this awkward camera move. But you buy these brooms, they're 30 baht each in the local market. And you get straight bamboo, it's all dried, it's all cured. You get roof thatch. And then this, of course, you pick this apart. And you've got beams. Beams. So that's what the house is made from. These are gunny sacks. I'm going to cut them up. This house will need a lot of dressing, right? A family lives here, so they need food and clothing and everything else. So these sacks I'm going to cut up and make old rice bags that they're storing things in. This wire, I'm going to make some hangers and hang clothing on that back wall. It needs a hang pot. It needs a Buddha shrine. I got some at the souvenir store outside Okroi. I got some little food plates. These are a little fancy for this environment. I might not use them, but they're the right scale, so I bought them. These guys are from the souvenir store. These are just resin trinkets they sell to the farang. This guy was marked at 600 baht. I got him for 400 because he's got a broken horn. Even so, 400. This right now is the most expensive prop I have bought for any video. A resin water buffalo. These terracotta pots come from the garden store. They sell them for people who like small succulents and cacti. You can put them in there. They're going to be cooking pots in this set. This lid started life as one of these. These are just baking tins from the Doenjai store. You flatten them out with a hammer and a cutting board, and you get a disc. And and then you crimp it down, of course. So this is going to be a well. I'm going to paint it to look like concrete, I hope. My painting skills really suck. I was never a scenic artist. But I don't have a scenic artist union to call and ask the hall to send a tech, so I'm going to have to do it myself. So that's going to be the well in the farm. Again, from the garden shop, from the religious supply shop. These are just old leftover props. I probably won't use them. I have no idea where I got this little wooden bowl, but I love it. Ribbon, because every traditional house in the Northeast has the, what do they call it? Pa, samsi, the three-color cloth. They tie them around trees. Typically, they'll tie them around the first sao, the first pillar. When they build a house, they'll do a lot of things. There's salt in the hole and things like that. I think, because I have this this tree stump, I think it seems poignant to me that in the yard of this house, there is the stump of what used to be a giant, beautiful old bow tree that had a cloth tied around it. At some point, the tree died. They had to cut it down and burn it. But they still tie the cloth around the stump of the tree. And I think that sort of speaks to Isan and the economic situation in Isan right now. These are just dollhouse props. I'll paint them black, hang them on a wall. This is a bed. It's a floaty from a beach set. Again, just more terracotta. I'm not sure about this. I'm going to distress it, ding it up, and paint it and see. I don't know. It's a little fancy for this set, of course. This is a plastic bottle from a dollhouse. These, I want to make one of those things where they tamp rice in a tree stump. I'm going to try that with some of that bamboo. These are just random props to put texture back here. Texture and color and shape, random shapes. This is a spirit house I built for Boontongs, and it was outside a window. I don't think anybody's ever seen it outside that window. This comes from Chattachak Market in Bangkok. This is scrap wood from a furniture store where I parked my motorcycle and made a big scrap pile. I grabbed a handful of sticks. This stuff is wonderful. This stuff comes from the garden store. My original idea was to make rice patties, all right? So you get the floor mats of different colors and you can create a field of rice patties. But then I thought Isan, what you're trying to project is poverty, right? So they don't have lush fields. This is, by the way, what it looks like when you assemble one of those rakes, one of those brooms, and then you do your roofing that. But anyway, they sell this stuff. It's like vermiculite. It's just to give drainage in a pot. 60 baht, I think that was 60 or 70 baht. Just random rocks. They're real light, so they don't strain the table. That's like a bag of popcorn. It's super light. And these are some river rocks. And I think what I'm going to try to do is make my rice fields out of this. My original thought was just to use it under the house where the sun wouldn't get there. But now I think the scene needs poverty. It needs to say this is a poor, poor community, that this woman comes from a very poor environment. So I'm going to use the gravel and this stuff. For 60 baht a bag, I can buy enough to cover the whole table, and it won't stress the table. This is a beautiful wooden table. This fire damage to the house echoes damage I saw at a friend's house in Nakhon Nayok in 1988. I went to visit her family, and they had a fire under the cooking stove, and they had put planks across the hole, and there were blue tarps over the hole in the roof and blue tarps over the sidewall, and the tarps were all degraded and sun damaged and wind blown because they'd been there for years. They had not had the money to repair the damage for years, and so they simply did what they could. They put planks down and they put a pot on there and they made their dinner. And I've been carrying that image in my head since 1988. So I just want to share one more thing with you because I have the phone in my hand. I'm cleaning up the house today in preparation for filling a table full of dirt. And I found this cardboard tube. I had purchased a light, a fluorescent light. And I had kept this specifically to use in my Jugs A Go-Go set at the corners. Because when you do a 3-wall set, well, I don't have one up, but when you do a 3-wall set, typically at your corners you want something round so that you can angle the walls at whatever angle you need to shoot, and it still looks right. So at the corners of everything, you have a pillar that is round, and in this case, in the case of Boontongs, it's bamboo. So I kept this specifically to use right here in this set, and I couldn't find it the day I was shooting. I couldn't find it. It turned out to have fallen behind a bucket of materials, but at any rate, I couldn't find it. What am I going to do? I have to finish the set. So I purchased a 10-foot length of this white exhaust tube for my sink, because my sink was exhausting on the patio. I wanted it to exhaust in the garden. And I thought that'll do. So I slapped it on there, and I thought, well, what happens if I put a flashlight in the top of it? And it turned out to look really cool. And what more, the flashlight had a flash setting. Beep, 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 beep. So it looked like disco lighting, and it turned out to be, I think, the best feature, scenically, the best feature of the whole video. And it was by pure chance, because I couldn't find this piece of material. The earth provides. Well, I think we're ready to start filming. So we're back in Boontong. It seems to have survived being in scenic storage for a couple of weeks. Okay, now the fun part, dressing. I think we're ready to start shooting the Boontong segment of Mr. Page's story.